Hey, everyone, what's going on? Lauren Sisler here with AL.com. Welcome into our Week 11 edition of SEC Insider, brought to you by All South Appliance. Today I'm hanging out here in the beautiful showroom off of Lakeshore Parkway in Birmingham, Alabama, and I've got lots of grills and cool stuff behind me. Sales galore to get you ready for the holiday season, all ready to take home if you're ready to package it up and put a big bow on it. Hey, let's put a big bow on the Auburn Alabama game. Obviously not the outcome that we had hoped for. Tom Green in to talk about it. Auburn falling 42-13, and what was, I guess, a little bit less eventful Iron Bowl than we've seen in recent years. One that certainly did not present a lot of excitement and/or good things on the Auburn side of the football, but just wanted to start there. Your thoughts overall on what you kind of saw, where was sort of the breakdown, and where was the biggest struggle and challenge for this Auburn football team that they can work on heading into this next week?
Yeah, you mentioned putting a bow on this game. I think it's a gift that most Auburn fans would want to return after that performance. But it was just a game that Auburn just couldn't get anything going in any of the three phases. Their offense. They were able to move the ball well at times, but anytime they got, near the 30-yard line, they kind of just stalled out, had to settle for a couple field goals, missed a long field goal. And really their afternoon was just marred by missed opportunities to kind of keep pace with Alabama there, especially in the first half.
All right, and just I wanted to get your thoughts. Obviously, Bo Nix, 23-38, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We've seen him struggle on the road before, and obviously different atmosphere. 25% capacity, certainly not the Iron Bowl that we've seen in years past, and not in the confines of Jordan-Hare Stadium, of course. But we've seen him struggle on the road, although I will say, obviously, I guess the Ole Miss game was sort of a nice barometer to show this Auburn team behind Bo Nix was able to perform, at a higher level and obviously taking that upward trajectory. What are your thoughts? Bo Nix getting better? Are you seeing him get worse? Is he remaining stagnant? What's going on there behind center?
Well, I think we need to put everything into context for him. I mean, he was coming off of the best 3-game stretch of his career. That Ole Miss game, the LSU game, the Tennessee game. He played really well for Auburn in those 3 games. And I think even certainly the Iron Bowl was not his best game by far. But then again, Auburn couldn't do anything offensively, really. And I think it started, with that offensive line and their inability to kind of establish the run. Auburn's been at its best this season when it can run the ball effectively, and it just wasn't able to do that. Starting right tackle, Brodarius Ham, was banged up and, gave it a go in the first half, but didn't play in the second half. They were out there starting left tackle, and, they just couldn't get a consistent push. And, Tank Bigsby was, dealing with a hip injury of his own that he tried to play through. So, when you establish the run, you're putting some undue pressure on that passing game. And, they just couldn't get anything going. And I think another thing, we kind of have to think about, sure, Bo Nix, his numbers weren't great by any means, but I think we're looking at his performance a little bit differently, maybe if, Seth Williams doesn't drop that 58-yard touchdown pass because, you look at how that drive ended, a couple minutes later, Bo Nix was picked off by Malachi Moore right before the half. So you're taking away an interception there, you're adding a long touchdown, you're kind of changing the dynamic of the game if Seth Williams doesn't drop that. And I think, certainly everybody expected Bo Nix to play a little bit better, especially the way that offense was kind of hitting its stride in the last 3 games rather. But I do think the larger concerns aren't so much with Bo Nix because he has shown progress this season, but it's with the fact that Auburn's offense just hasn't been able to get a whole lot going in the passing game against some really good, top-tier teams. You look at the Georgia game, you look at this Alabama game, and it's kind of been the MO in recent years.
And, I guess just from a defensive standpoint, what did you see that worked well and that could play, in their favor, obviously heading into number 5, Texas A&M this upcoming week? Or what are some things they need to really focus in and work on when you welcome the number 5 team in the country that is also playing for playoff hopes as well?
You say defensively or offensively?
Defensively.
Well, I think the biggest concern for Auburn's defense overall is just their third down defense. Alabama converted 60% of its third downs. They're the 5th team in 8 games to convert at least 60% on third downs against Auburn this year. Now, Auburn has the SEC's worst third down defense. at like 58.3%. It's like 122nd nationally out of 127 FBS teams. So really, I think that's probably the biggest concern for Auburn. I mean, most of the season they've done really well in passing defense, until they kind of ran into that buzzsaw that is Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and, John Mechie. So they've done well against the pass. Their run defense still stands to improve. And even though they've struggled to get off the field on third downs, they've been really good between the 20-yard lines for the most part. Their red zone defense is still really good. Their scoring defense is still good despite what Alabama just did to them. But I think if they can kind of get in more manageable third down situations, they'll feel a lot better about, closing the season strong, kind of rebounding from, that setback against Alabama.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously still plenty to play for. And that just, what's one key matchup or one thing that you would like to see from this Auburn team that, can help trend them in that direction of getting back in the win column and having a chance to knock off number 5 Texas A&M? What would that key matchup or one thing you want to see?
Well, I think the real question is just how well Auburn can do against Kellen Mond and, really just the quarterback play, from both teams. Bo Nix has been a much better quarterback at home. I mean, he hasn't been a Heisman contender when he's played at Jordan-Hare Stadium by any means, but he's been really solid. He's only got 1 career interception. We saw that against Tennessee a couple weeks ago, but he was able to respond from that and bounce back and have a really strong performance. So you have to feel good about the way, Nix and that offense are going to perform at home. But then really Kellen Mond, it's can Auburn, make him look like an average quarterback? He hasn't exactly set Auburn's defense on fire in the years that they've played. So I think if Auburn's defense can kind of answer that call and, impact him, you look at what he did against LSU, didn't look that great, even though, Texas A&M was able to win pretty comfortably. So I think Auburn has to feel pretty confident just because, we saw what Auburn did against LSU. Auburn's familiar with what they did defensively, and, Kevin Steele is going to come up with a game plan to kind of bounce back from that performance against Alabama, I think.
No doubt about it. Tom Green, we appreciate the insight. As always, of course, we'll hear from Gus Malzahn in his weekly press conference tomorrow. Auburn, Texas A&M kicking off 11 a.m. Central Time on ESPN. We appreciate our awesome sponsor, All South Appliance Group. Sponsor SEC Insider, been hanging out here throughout the season inside their showroom. Lots to go around, lots of grills right here behind me. And, of course, buy a grill, get a grill, or get a gift. Pretty awesome stuff here. Again, we appreciate you guys for watching. And if you want to come check them out, they're on Lakeshore Parkway in Birmingham. You can also visit their showrooms all over the state of Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida.